Welcome to Dr. Balaga's God Knowledge Doc podcast, your quick dive into the latest medical breakthroughs to keep you ahead of the curve. Let's get started. This video is on cardiogenic shock, a 2025 ECC expert consensus statement published in JACC and e-published on St. Patrick's Day 2025. This video is being recorded on March 23rd, 2025. The lead author is Dr. Shashank Sinha, MD, FACC. Definitions and classification. Cardiogenic shock is a cardiac disorder causing inadequate output and tissue hypoperfusion. Epidemiology. High mortality, around 40% in hospital and 50% at the end of 1 year. The SKY staging for cardiogenic shock is from stage A to stage E. Stage A is at risk and stage E is extremis. Today we'll be discussing a cardiogenic shock associated with acute myocardial infarction, heart failure, post-cardiac arrest, and arrhythmia-induced cardiogenic shock. An important mnemonic for early recognition of cardiogenic shock is suspect CS. There is a 24-hour roadmap in the evaluation and management of cardiogenic shock using this mnemonic in this document. The suspect CS mnemonic aids in early diagnosis. S stands for symptoms, altered mental status, cold extremities, and confusion. U stands for oliguria, urine output, oliguria less than 30 cc per hour. S stands for sustained hypotension, an SPP less than 90 millimeters of mercury, or a MAP of less than 65 millimeters of mercury. P for perfusion, high lactate, metabolic acidosis, and elevated creatinine. E for ECG and or echocardiography, signs of ischemia or heart failure on EKG or echo. C for congestion, pulmonary edema, jugular venous distension. And T for triage, shock team activation or transfer to a specialized center. There's a cardiogenic shock working group SKY shock criteria for classification severity, that is stage A to E, and this figure gives the details for each stage, that is stage A, B, C, D, and E. Diagnosis and initial management. Key symptoms: altered mental status, cold extremities, low urine output. Lab markers include high lactate greater than 2 millimoles per liter, metabolic acidosis, elevated creatinine. Hemodynamics: narrow pulse pressure, low MAPS. The goal is early revascularization, PCI for acute myocardial infarction associated cardiogenic shock. First line: vasopressors and inotropes, norepinephrine and dobutamine. Norepinephrine is a first-line vasopressor. Dobutamine is first-line inotrope in normotensive cardiogenic shock. Milrinone, alternative inotrope, especially if pulmonary hypertension is present. Epinephrine, reserved for severe cases. And vasopressin, second line for refractory hypotension. Transfer to specialized centers. Level 1 cardiogenic shock hospital centers versus community centers. Its key is to transfer to a cardiogenic shock hospital center when the patient is in refractory shock and then there's a need for temporary mechanical circulatory support. Early consultation and multidisciplinary team activation is encouraged by this guideline document. The factors influencing the selection of the right therapy for the right patient at the right place and the right time include patient selection, therapeutic considerations, systems of care available, and features of cardiogenic shock. Temporary mechanical circulatory support devices include IABP, balloon pump, Impella, VA-ECMO, and percutaneous RVADs. The risks are bleeding, limb ischemia, and hemolysis. Indications include refractory shock and hemodynamic deterioration. Critical care and monitoring. Continuous monitoring of mean arterial pressure, urine output, lactate, and echo. Major complications of cardiogenic shock include multi-organ failure, sepsis, and AKI, acute kidney injury. Weaning from temporary mechanical circulatory support as the patients improve requires gradual reduction with reassessment, and consideration should be given for transition to permanent LVADs, heart transplants, or palliative care. Future direction and research. There are opportunities on optimizing temporary mechanical circulatory support use and timing, opportunities for standardizing regional cardiogenic shock care networks, and opportunities for improved outcomes for heart failure associated cardiogenic shock.